Our next speaker is Fuad Hüseynov, Deputy Chairman of the State Committee for Refugees and IDPs for the State of Azerbaijan. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Distinguished panelists, distinguished delegates, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, on behalf of delegation of Jan Azerbaijan, I would like to extend sincere welcome to esteemed audience attending Stratcom 22, and I would like to express our deep appreciation and gratitude to Directorate of Communication of Presidents of our brotherly Turkey for extending us kind invitation and generous Turkish hospitality, which went much beyond any praise. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Fakhreddin Altun for his thought-provoking opening statement yesterday, which clearly demonstrated present global challenges facing world community in the age of uncertainty caused by wars, conflicts, persecution, violation of human rights, climate change across the continents, with an emphasis on crisis of truth. I am privileged to be a panelist during today's discussion, and since I represent State Committee for Refugees and IDPs of Azerbaijan, in my capacity as Deputy Minister, I would like to focus on the issue of forced migration in the era of uncertainty and new realities after a long uncertainty in the aftermath of 2020 patriotic war from my country's perspective. This year's summit theme is strategic communication in the age of uncertainty. If we turn into classical definition, uncertainty is the only certainty there is. Uncertainty is all around us. And irrespective of whether it's pandemic or health or civil strife, we have certain degree to tolerate uncertainty in our life. But as human beings, we crave security. And all of us have different limits. But no matter how hopeless and helpless we are, it's important to note that there are steps we can take to alleviate sufferings, to reduce anxiety, and to have better situation and better step in order to address uncontrollable circumstances. People at risk, such as forced migrants, refugees, and internally displaced persons, constitute major challenges towards sustainable development and are more vulnerable as opposed to others in the era of uncertainty. Migration in its various forms is not a new phenomenon in humanity's history, but beginning of third millennium is characterized very much by largest migratory movement, which involves, in terms of origin, transit, and destination, nearly every part of the world. And in recent years, scope of migration reached an expanded levels, and in most of the cases, people who are fleeing their homes are fleeing because of conflicts, persecution, inhuman treatment, climate change. Despite the goal we set in our global agenda for 2030 to reduce internal displacement by 50%, each year we see unprecedented number of displaced, which is on the rise. And today, Europe faces largest crisis ever since the World War II. And humanity reached a moment when doubled or even tripled efforts for prevention and solution are an absolute necessity. Azerbaijan's sensitivities towards displacement problem, which was declared as problem number one by national leader and founder of Azerbaijani state, Heydar Aliyev, are clearly understandable as a country that has been hosting, in per capita terms, one of the highest caseloads of refugees and IDPs in the last 3 decades, comprising 10% of its overall population. And displacement in my country has been a consequence of Armenian aggression and occupation of 20% of Azerbaijani's territory, compounded with ethnic cleansing policy pursued. And had there been no assistance on the part of international organizations and friendly states, and first comes in row, of course, our brother Turkey, the country would have faced a real humanitarian catastrophe at the onset of crisis in the early 1990s, for which we are always thankful and grateful to all those entities who rendered us assistance at the most critical period of Azerbaijan's history. Over the past 3 decades, Azerbaijan gained an enormous knowledge base and experience in dealing with large-scale displacement. To date, 116 new modern residential complexes have been erected in the country, and as many as 320,000 displaced were provided with improved housing. And poverty level among displaced dropped from 75 to 8%. Activities of Azerbaijani state under the leadership of our President, His Excellency Ilham Aliyev, were highly appreciated by the most reputable international organizations, including current UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, in his capacity then as a UN High Commissioner for Refugees in the course of his missions to Azerbaijan. But notwithstanding an exemplary care and attention rendered towards the displaced by national authorities of Azerbaijan, the only durable solution to protracted displacement was closely linked to political settlement of former Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict and liberation of Azerbaijani territories that would have enabled hundreds of thousands of our compatriots to exercise their fundamental right to return in safety, dignity, and on a voluntary basis. For almost 30 years, Armenia has kept 20% of Azerbaijani territories under occupation, not complying with UN Security Council resolutions of 1993, demanding full, immediate, and unconditional withdrawal of all occupying forces from occupied territories. And however, glorious victory in a 44-day patriotic war of 2020 put an end to this long-standing conflict and not only reinstated territorial integrity and national sovereignty of Republic of Azerbaijan within its internationally recognized borders, but also created conditions conducive for safe, dignified, and voluntary return of hundreds of thousands of our compatriots to their homeland. At present, Azerbaijani state has a noble task to ensure restoration and sustainable development in liberated areas. Currently, security measures are being undertaken, magnificent infrastructure projects are implemented with an emphasis on smart village and smart city concepts, and I'm pleased to note that the first wave of returnees already started moving back, and we hosted 70 families this summer. Great return, along with reintegration of liberated territories into the national economy, has been declared as one out of 5 national priorities for socio-economic development of Azerbaijan to be achieved by year 2030. And just a few weeks ago, the first state program on great return to liberated areas has been endorsed by presidential decree. But I would like to underline at the same time that Armenia has contaminated a large amount of Azerbaijani lands with mines and other unexploded ordinances to the extent that today, according to international experts, this area is considered to be one of the most mine-polluted areas on the earth. According to our president's statement during Astana summit, it might take up to 30 years and will involve about $25 billion worth for the total mine clearance exercise. And by refusing to hand over accurate mine maps in full, Armenia continues to grossly violate fundamental rights of hundreds of thousands of IDPs to return to their homes in safety and dignity. But despite this total destruction in the occupied territories and a huge mine issue, we are confident that in the coming few years, Azerbaijan with support of international community, and first of all, with support of our brotherly nation and state of Turkey, will be in a position to present a new model on post-conflict rehabilitation and reintegration of displaced communities in their homelands, and will convert lands once devastated and abandoned into a real paradise and into a place of peace and prosperity. Restoring justice for IDPs is a solid foundation for any long-term peace and stability in the region. And from that perspective, putting an end to this long-standing conflict means restoration of basic fundamental rights for IDPs. I will conclude here, and we can have further talks. Thank you very much for your attention.
And Mr. Hüseynov, you mentioned the war in 2020, and we have seen actually both in that war and the Ukrainian-Russia war is the instruments that countries use in the war is changing, and information warfare is part of that. And we have known before that the first victim of the wars are usually the truth. And we have seen this in the Azerbaijan-Armenistan war as well. So tell us how Azerbaijan dealt with the information warfare and tried to make its story to be heard around the world, how Azerbaijan achieved this.
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, Patriotic War of 2020 was not limited in the battlefield only, as you mentioned, but also there was a very heavy information war against Azerbaijan, but which started actually 30 years ago. I will just bring you one example. You know, Azerbaijan as a country which just regained its independence following the collapse of Soviet Union back in 1993, was the first among newly established states to be imposed sanction by United States Congress. You know, there was a famous amendment to Freedom Support Act 907, according to which any direct assistance from US government to Azerbaijan was prohibited. And that was imposed against a country which was subject to aggression, subject to occupation, had the largest influx of refugees and internally displaced persons among all ex-USSR countries. And that was a result of fake information, of misuse of information by Armenian diaspora, which managed to convince US congressmen that it was actually Azerbaijan who was blockading Armenia and who was attacking Armenia. And of course, this information war has even more intensified during 44-day Patriotic War. And our president, Supreme Commander-in-Chief, also proved to be the best strategic communicator leader in this. In the course of 44-day Patriotic War, our president gave intensive interviews to more than 30 leading world media agencies, TV agencies, including, of course, agencies from our brotherly state of Turkey, which was instrumental actually in bringing truth information to the attention of the world community. And of course, assistance and support of our journalists from brotherly Turkey was invaluable. I can just again bring one example. Fulya Öztürk, CNN Turkey reporter, who was there when indiscriminate shelling of civilian population in the largest and second largest city of Azerbaijan, Ganja, took place, and when she took innocent baby, already dead. And that was, of course, a very strong message to the world community about atrocities, about crime committed by Armenians against civilian population, against cities which are very far from line of contact. That's in brief. Last but not least, as we're approaching end of this year's summit, and in a matter of few weeks we're approaching year end, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all and your loved ones very best for Happy New Year. And as year 2023 is of particular importance for our Brazilian Republic of Turkey, and it will be 100 years anniversary since the establishment of Türkiye Cumhuriyeti, I would like to take this opportunity to wish nation and state of our Brazil, Turkey, peace and prosperity. Thank you very much.
And please join me to thank our panelists one more time, and thank you for being here and attending this panel.